This podcast is brought to you by Nut Money Coalition's Farm Talk podcast. They have been serving the Hopi community since 2004 by working to reaffirm and preserve traditional Hopi farming. Go to nutmoneycoalition.org to learn more. That's NATWANI coalition.org.
Native Community Capital is your trusted partner for home loans or financing your business. Visit us at nativecap.org or call us at 855-628-2272. Let's work together to rebuild tribal economies.
You are now listening to the Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast. I am your host, the 5-star, 5-diamond chef J-Man. And with me is the guy that likes to count his pennies, Carl.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Wednesday to you all. It's been a great week. How has your week been going?
Happy day to everybody out there.
Happy Wednesday.
This is... I figured by now, Carl, like some of the
people still want to pretend to play.
Some of the sad girls out there that have imaginations of grandeur that they can change their man. I understand now that there's no changing you.
Yeah, exactly.
That I can point out the fact that we are a podcast. We just because we come out on Wednesday doesn't mean that's when people listen to us. Wednesday.
But it's a Wednesday when we come out. So
you still insist
on coming out Wednesday,
wishing Wednesdays, even to the point where you admitted that you would not be able to wake up to do a morning show.
Yeah, because mornings are
want to pretend that this is a morning show.
It was a tough morning. It was a tough morning. I have to say that.
As much as everyone has tried to get Peter Pan to grow up, and nobody was successful at doing that. I understand now that there's just no success in me trying to get you to get out of this imagination land that you live in with these imaginary people that you talk to. Well, that you tell me that they give me bad feedback.
Solo still thinks I'm cool, and that's all that matters.
and we're here with episode 9 already.
Episode 9 already of this season. I mean, it's been a great season. I have to admit that it's one of our best seasons out here, and it's taken me by surprise.
This is one of our best seasons because we're coming off of 1,000 downloaded week, which is pretty good for us to be able to get that many folks to listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And, we've been consistent in keeping those high marks throughout this season. And so I don't know what it is. I seriously thought that our solo episodes were going to bomb the season, but it didn't to some degree. So here you and I are touting one of the most successful seasons of the CJ podcast. And so I definitely like to thank everybody out there. Like to thank our 30-pack circle of givers. Would like to thank our season sponsors.
had to wait till it was done.
and like to thank every single one of you out there for listening to our podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, everybody out there who has kept up with from season 1, from our debut episode. I just re-listened to that episode again.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Did
I
you
was
laugh?
I was like, damn, we were dumb back
awkward
then.
we were back
I was
then.
like, man, we were so awkward back then. It's like, man.
It was like you're a senior in high school now, and you're looking back at your freshman year.
Yeah, I was like, damn, I wasn't cool back then.
But we're, I guess, going forward that we're going to be releasing additional content because although it is episode 9, that we're actually going to hit you with 2 more episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Making 11 episodes for the season and a couple of bonus episodes to talk about additional things because, there have been a lot of requests of us to talk about certain things. And, we're just fresh off of our COVID episode.
Yeah.
Which was kind of interesting because then, really what that purpose of that conversation was to be discussing, I guess, the pros and cons, the health wise of the COVID. But I think a lot of people
here on the reservation.
But I think a lot of a lot of people took it politically.
Yeah.
Which wasn't the intent.
Basically like our political episode.
Just like our political episode. And so note to self that anytime you want to talk about anything that's politically related, more than likely you're going to piss somebody off.
Oh yeah, we can't please everybody, but it's how we live, I guess. But anyway, we are here going to talk about college life. College life in a way, I guess you could say.
All the episodes that I listen to, it's funny because then, we're having this general conversation.
Yeah.
And then you decide to introduce the topic. And most of the time you introduce it incorrectly. Which has been pretty consistent.
Because in my mind, that's pretty much how I view the topic. So,
but anyway, you kind of got it right, I guess. I mean, you didn't hit the nail on the head, but
I hit it just enough. I'm not a carpenter, but I hit it just enough where it went into the next board. Basically, it'll hold. It'll hold.
Just don't pull on it hard.
Just don't pull on it hard. It'll hold.
Just don't touch it.
I didn't know this was supposed to be stable.
Just don't touch the board. But it'll hold. And so what we're going to talk about is we're going to be talking about Hopi college kids.
Yeah, Hopi college kids.
And so we've talked about college several times, talking about our first season. We actually had 2 episodes where we talked about college a whole lot. But really that was from mine and your experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But then because the fact that you and I, it's probably been a good decade since you and I were last in college.
Yeah.
That so much has changed. That more than likely the perspectives of the kids that are in college now are changed.
Exactly.
And even just that term, because I always tell the Res Famous wife all the time, that you're old.
Yeah.
When you refer to people in college as kids.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both you and I, we went to college right after high school, I believe, right? Yeah, like me, I signed up, I gave my signature away, and I went to college, not knowing that I could not go to college. It's like it's this weird mentality where it's like you have to go to college right after high school. Nobody has told me that you could work after high school. Nobody told me that you could get a job after high school or travel the world after high school. It was always like you always have to get your secondary education in order for you to succeed in that way. And nobody has really told me that I could have all these options there. And so that's reason why I went to college right after high school, not even taking a break.
Well, I think that when you spend all day in Solo's house and watch nothing but those after school ABC specials, that usually tends to be the dynamic, because for myself and for a lot of people, I think it was quite the opposite, that we only saw people start working right after high school. And then it was quite the opposite, where we thought that, I'm just going to go start working after high school and not go to college, because that's what everybody else in my family, that's what everybody else in my community is doing.
See, I come from a family of educated people, and I wanted to be educated as well too.
So I take it you're the black sheep of the family.
So we're almost brown now, so.
But, because we talked about this topic quite a bit in several episodes, college. But, I think the point that I kind of wanted to make is that, even though we talk about a certain type of topic, that there's so many layers to a certain type of subject. Because then, like, for example, like you think about an orange, right?
Yeah.
Let's say we did a podcast episode about an orange.
Okay.
We talk about the juiciness of the orange. We talk about the sweetness of the orange. We talk about the acidity of the orange, and then the episode's done. But later on, we want to come back and we talk about the orange again. But it's like, you guys already talked about the orange.
Yeah.
What's like, well, we only talked about a certain aspect of the orange.
Yeah.
Did you know that on the outside of the orange, the rind is used in a lot of culinary dishes?
Is the orange on the outside called a rind or a peel?
I think it can be called either.
Really? Oh yeah. I know that the acidity part of it is used in different dishes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And so, that's kind of an example of the many layers of these different topics that we have. And so college is definitely another one. And, I think that in those other episodes where we talked about college, we really mostly only talked about ourselves. But, one of the things that I wanted for us to talk about was how the community perceives college, because like you're saying, and I think that both you and I have a different perspective, or at least a different experience of what the perspective of college is, because then, going to school from an early age, you're always told that the opportunity to go to college is there.
Yeah.
That idea of pursuing a higher education is always there. And so, for us Hopis out here on the reservation, what do we think of college?
Oh my God. I mean, like if you're coming from like a traditional family, the one that has only have like maybe a part of a high school degree. And when you think about like secondary education, you don't think about like, how could that help me in a way, like, cause if you're skilled in something else, like carving or like you're like shoemaking or something in that nature, or like weaving, you don't think about like, oh, there are other options for me to get money. Like there are other options for me to pursue a higher education, and to think about that, especially here on the reservation, it's not a linear type of decision that kids make. Like if you go to one of these schools out here and ask them what do they want to be when they grow up, most of them will say, I don't know. Because there's not a lot of options out here on the reservation to make it so that they're going to become interested.
Or they say something that doesn't require a college education.
Yeah. It's like if you want to be like a mechanic, you can go to one of those 2-year schools, just to learn to be a mechanic.
Carpenter.
Yeah, like that.
Firefighter.
Yeah. And it doesn't require you to take like these 4 to 8 year colleges.
Paramedic.
Do the paramedics have the 2-year thing? Mm-hmm. Really? Mm-hmm. 4 years? I don't know. I'm not a paramedic, so I don't know.
You're not an expert.
I'm not an expert in that.
I think that's been made clear.
I'm an expert in my own ways. So.
Yeah, you are. And I guess one of the disclaimers though that I definitely wanted to say is that because as a community we put so much value in this idea of college.
Yeah.
That there's this big message out there in our communities that going to college is important.
Yeah.
That earning a college degree is important. That if you're able to earn a college degree, then you're going to be able to move mountains for your people. That you're going to be able to provide some sort of benefit for your people. But, and this is something that I definitely want to put out there in the world, that it's not the only option, right?
Yeah.
Like you're saying that, that there are other options, and that college isn't necessarily for everybody because we all learn differently. We all have different aspirations. We want to do certain things with our lives. Some of us like to use our hands and build things. Some of us are builders. And then so, there's other avenues, welders, carpenters, mechanics, plumbers, etc., that you could create a wonderful life for yourself if you chose those career paths instead of going to college, because there are probably welders out there that make ton of more money than you or I do and don't have the debt that you and I have.
I wonder what's the percentage out here of Hopis that actually did go to college and actually completed college. I wonder what that percentage is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I imagine that the ratio wouldn't be good.
Out of 100 people out here, how many do you think actually finished college?
My guess would be 10.
Yeah, actually, that would be a real number. Would be a real life number, because when you go to the Kivas, not a lot of guys will talk in like upstep their college years or anything like that. They'll basically not talk about anything educational or like behind the education. And so it kind of gives you that notion or gives you that thought that these guys never went to college. These guys never sought secondary education.
Well, I'm kind of glad that you brought that up because then, because the message that we promote in our communities that college is important.
Yeah.
That we encourage everybody should go to college, regardless of the type of performance that you do in junior high school, that, we promote that there are programs out there to help you to catch up, or there are programs that are out there to help you fund for your college education. We promote that there are all these different programs, especially for Native people, American Indians, to get into college and to have these opportunities. But the things that we don't like to talk about is that we don't like to talk about our failures. And there is actually statistical data out there that I think reflects what we just talked about, that a very small percentage of American Indian people that do go to college actually graduate with a bachelor's degree. And for the amount of people that go out there to go to college that graduate with a bachelor's degree, that the percentage shrinks when it goes to those that go to graduate school to get a master's degree. And then from that master's degree number, that shrinks even more for people that want to go and get a higher degree, like a PhD,
doctorates,
EDD, medical school, law school, an executive MBA, master's in business administration. And so really, if you meet a Native person out there that has a PhD, that has an EDD, that has a law degree, that has a medical doctor degree, that those are people that are unicorns.
Yeah.
Because they're far and few in between. And so, and I think with my experience working in the collegiate areas, working for ASU and working for the U of A, that was a big part of my job, was looking at trends as to why aren't our kids successful in college? How come it's difficult for our kids to finish college? And usually a lot of what it comes down to is that it comes down to support, that our kids don't have a lot of support when it goes to going to college.
Yeah.
Because some of the examples that you pointed out in terms of like a real traditional family, that we put more value in our culture. We put more value in the farming. We put more value in the weeding.
It's basically you're trying to weigh the differences of how you want to live, whether it's like the Pahana way or the Hopi way. And one kind of outweighs the other because of tradition, because of culture, and because of who you are. And so that's the reason why, I guess that's part of the reason why a lot of Native kids aren't really successful in graduating like college or secondary college. And that's what you said before, like finding a person that actually has a PhD or everything like the third highest education out there. Mm-hmm. It's very, very rare, especially here on the reservation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so because of the way that our calendar is set up, like the Hopi calendar, it doesn't leave us a lot of room to be a white man. If there was an extra month for us to be a white man, then yeah, I would take that opportunity.
And and there's a lot of other things, especially, and see there is a difference. There is a difference in terms of the opportunities that are available for our on-reservation students versus the opportunities that are available for off-reservation Native students. And I think that we've talked about it to a degree, at least throughout some of the episodes on our podcast, that a lot of the times that there's a lack of opportunity for our kids here on the reservation to be college ready. Because then when you look at some of the urban schools, that there's a lot of programming, a lot of college readiness programs that are available to those students there that will prepare them to apply for college, prepare them for the college lifestyle. And then for a lot of us dusty res kids, that, we kind of go into college with a blindfold on to a degree. Yeah. Because then, we really don't know what to expect. And we've talked about it before on some of our previous episodes as to what we thought it was going to be like. And then getting there and seeing the actuality of what college is really like.
Yeah, exactly. And so, we have a lot to discuss here, but we're going to go ahead and take a quick break for our paid sponsors.
Cool.
Nurturing Indigenous Intelligence is a grassroots organization based on the Hopi Reservation. They work to alleviate the hardships in the community through acts of giving, from distributing school supplies, volunteering at various places, and working to expand their services. Follow them on Instagram at Nurturing I Squared and on Facebook at NI Squared Team to find out more.
Coenvioma Law, PLLC is 100% native-owned and operated, founded by Vern Coenvioma. Their practice areas include corporate law, business transactions, finance, economic development, gaming, casino development, online gaming, real estate, environmental permitting and approvals, telecommunications, government affairs, employment and labor relations, historic preservation and cultural resources, and energy. Coenvioma Law is committed to making positive and lasting change in our communities as they support nonprofit volunteering, community activism, and employing Indian preference in hiring and vendor relations. Terraform Development is a Navajo and Hopi-owned engineering, architectural, and project management firm located in northern Arizona. The company has full-time staff and comprises of Navajo and Hopi employees. Terraform services include civil engineering, residential design, drone mapping, and project management on projects for your need. Terraform is a Priority 1 Navajo certified business and Hopi business license certified. Contact Terraform Development at TERRA4ORM.com and follow them on Instagram at Terraform Development.
And we're back from paying some bills, and like we always forget to announce at the beginning of the episode that we actually do have a special guest today.
Yeah, forgot about that. We had a special guest. How did you forget this?
I can't remember everything, Carl. Your name's in front. I'd like for you to pull half the weight once in a while.
I pull a lot of weight. So that's the reason why I'm destined to rely on you.
Put on a lot of the weight is more like it. No, I'm just kidding.
But anyway,
before I get canceled for body shaming.
body shaming, yeah, exactly. But anyway, welcome one of our special guests. We were supposed to have two guests, but one of them kind of opted out because if she's probably listening, she doesn't want to talk to her dad. So
she doesn't want to be on her dad's podcast.
She's too cool to be on Daddy's podcast.
Well, we would like to welcome to the podcast Dion Sahneyah.
Hi guys, how are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good.
Thanks for having me on.
Doing pretty good, Dion. Thank you for joining us on my last minute request. If you could introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dion. I'm from the village of Hopi, and my clan's is Bearstrap, Bikosungwa, and I go to school here at Fort Lewis for geology.
Say that program one more time, Dion.
I'm going to school here at Fort Lewis for geology.
Oh, geology. So
you're going to study rocks.
Yes.
Is that
plenty of those out here?
Is that a demanding? Is that a demanding suit out here on the reservation?
Yes, it actually is.
Really? I would have never guessed.
Well, for the studies that I've went into, I started a while back. When I first started school back in 2013, it wasn't for geology at first. It was first for, I believe it was like business. And I kind of went into one semester and tried another semester, didn't like it. I tried art. I didn't like that either. And I kind of was just finding myself bouncing around to different programs and departments. Kind of burnt myself out trying to find a program and trying to find a major. And eventually I found, I took a geology class as part of as a part of a required course here at Fort Lewis to graduate. And a big part of it was natural resource management and land management.
So do you lick rocks sometimes? I have to ask.
Yes, I lick rocks, smell rocks, kind of feel all the nice fine grooves, and yeah.
He asks because he's trying to find a niche group that he can put together. Hopis that like to lick rocks.
Rock lickers.
To lick rocks.
This is going to be a rock band. We're called the Rock Lickers.
and so Dion, you mentioned that you're at Fort Lewis College, and then you mentioned the degree program. Can you let us know why you chose to go to school at Fort Lewis, and then also a little bit more as to why you chose geology as a program to pursue?
Yeah, definitely. Fort Lewis was kind of, I guess, the affordable option for me at the time. And when I was going to school, when I was applying for different schools, I didn't really have an idea until kind of last minute, and I visited Fort Lewis. Kind of liked how the programs they had to offer, and when I first came there, a professor from the environmental science programs, Earth System Sciences, I'm sorry, and they were talking about the different parts of what entails into the Earth System Sciences, and that geology was a really good place to start off. Geology would be a prime place for Fort Lewis to have their studies at, and going into finding geology, I took a summer internship with the Southern Ute tribe, and from there I learned a lot more about natural resource management, land management, and water conservation, and water quality, air quality as well.
That actually sounds pretty good. I have no idea what you were talking about at the time, but I'm pretty sure rock lickers, out there unites, but I have no idea what that was about. But what sort of barriers or what sort of blockages did you have when going to college? Like, did you have any sort of hardships or any type of those things?
I think I was kind of, fortunate enough to be part of the programs that wanted specifically Native Americans in schools. And I kind of just found myself in one of those programs that helped get Native Americans into schools, Fort Lewis being one of them. The hardship in that was that when I got there, the help and the program assistance kind of almost stopped. And the main part that I guess I didn't train, that I wasn't really trained for and didn't really train myself getting ready for college was just a lot of helping yourself kind of thing. And I just didn't really know how to live on my own for a while. When I first got to Fort Lewis College, I still didn't even know what kind of major I wanted to major in. And I found myself trying to ask for help. But midway between a semester and toward the end of a semester, I would have advisors asking me, what do you want to major in? What do you want to do next? And I kind of didn't really have a program that interested me at the time. And I told them, I don't know what I want to go into. And one of my advisors told me, well, you better hurry up or else we won't be able to get you any more financial aid.
Oh, wow.
And so it was kind of like just like a race against the clock, finding what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, which kind of seemed pretty stressful being like 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a great story that you shared, Dion, because that's, unfortunately, because at the beginning of the episode that we talked about what a lot of some of the barriers are for Native students in particular to finish college. And unfortunately that a lot of these big universities do have that mentality that we want to get these students in and we want to get them out within the 4 years.
Yeah.
But then like Dion said, and this was a big thing with me too, as well as in my experience, is that being 17, 18, 19 years old, that we really have absolutely no idea what it is that we want to do, what type of program that we want to pursue. And it's very important because then you think about how much a degree costs.
Yeah.
$40,000 to $60,000. And, if you were to stay on that business track and spend that money, and then you come out with a business degree, but then only realizing that that's something that you really don't enjoy doing, that basically it's 4 years, $40,000 to $60,000 wasted when you could have took the time to really find your passion. And unfortunately that a lot of students do experience that in trying to find something that they're passionate about, because then really that, at least in my opinion, that in terms of what it is that you want to do with your life, that you have to find that passion. You have to find something that you're willing to put your heart and your soul into, because really that's what gets you through the tough times, the difficult times. And so, Dion, you kind of shared what some of those tough times that you had? Because then, a lot of students, they do get to a point where they think that, oh, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to drop out or even do that. And so, Dion, did you ever get to a point like that where you just were at like, F this, I'm just going to drop out of school and do something else?
Yeah, I did. It was about that moment before I really figured geology was the thing for me. I kind of took a 4-year break, and it wasn't really something planned. It was just a lot of different classes I was taking. And then at the same time, my advisors still kind of banging on my door asking what major I wanted to declare. So I just kind of told the school like, hey, I'm going to take a break. And then they're like, okay, great. When are you going to come back? And I was like, I don't even have an answer for that yet. And I just found myself working. I did everything from working in the kitchen to framing to plumbing, landscaping, and just kind of found myself just doing any and every job that Durango has. And I think it was just one day I came into work, and it was probably around the COVID, and I was getting chewed out by a customer. And then I just realized, maybe I want to go back to school.
That's a good reason.
Yeah. And the remarks that you made about children not having a passion here. And that just kind of solidifies my theory too, is that there's not a lot out here that children can latch onto. And that's the reason why when a child is asked, what do you want to grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up? They'll answer, I don't know.
The choices for our dreams are slim pickings. That's how oppressed us res people are. Is that we're only limited in what we can dream about, because then some of those realities don't exist out here. Like, could you imagine wanting to go to college for dance?
To go to college for dance and then come out here and then in the kiva and you're dancing butterfly with your partner and you're doing the twirls and stuff like that
with the ribbon or something.
With the ribbon. And their girl partner is wondering what the hell is this?
Is he doing?
What is this fruit doing here?
I mean, I know I'm supposed to put this guy over, but look at him. He's dressed like a fairy.
He's dressed like a fairy out here.
And Carl, your story, did you ever drop out of school?
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Did you really?
Yeah, multiple times. I mean, the first one I didn't, because I knew that art was pretty much what I wanted to go to.
So you found out quite early.
I latched onto that. So I really latched onto that. And then when I went to NAU, and I did go to NAU,
oh, no kidding. You went to NAU?
And I went to NAU, yeah. And I didn't know what I wanted to do then.
So you had some actual real college experience.
So I actually had some real college. I wanted to pursue my secondary bachelor's as well too. So, but anyway, I mean, the whole idea is that children don't latch on to anything anymore out here. It's very slim. It's like, do you want to be a councilman or you want to be a councilwoman? There's some money in that.
Which school board do you want to serve on?
Which school board do you want to serve on?
I think, I don't know which school has the higher board checks, but it's out there. Exactly.
And, it's weird because when you're asked as a young kid, and when we were young, you probably were asked that, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Yes. And what did you want to do when you grew up? What did you really want to do?
I wanted to be the world heavyweight champion of World Championship Wrestling.
Well, actually, that is a pretty good goal.
That's my equivalent to your ninja aspirations.
What I wanted to be is I wanted to be an artist. All my life, I wanted to be an artist. I didn't want to be a ninja. That was secondary stuff. But an artist is what I wanted to be, because I saw art as something that I could live on. And then watching movies about art in a way. And then when you're seeing the struggle of it, then you're getting turned off a little bit. But art is something that is already in your mind. It's something that no other person can get. Art is basically for you.
Yeah.
So that's why I liked art.
I think my realistic aspirations when I was a kid is I wanted to be a teacher.
A teacher.
I wanted to be an educator.
Oh.
Because then, for me, the process of acquiring knowledge, of learning.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'm in love with that. Like, I love to learn new things about things that I don't understand. And so, if you're anybody that's a friend with me external to this, I'm always asking questions. And I just think that process of education is so great. But unfortunately, the realities of our educational system are not great. and so, Dion, what did you want to be when you were 10 years old?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I think everyone that pretty much almost all the men in my family were either, I think, except for my dad, were either artists or they kind of just came out of service in the military.
Oh, really?
And kind of growing up in between that, everyone was, I think it was either one of those two options. I found out very quickly I wasn't much of an artist. I like drawing every now and then, but I don't think art was a career specific choice that I wanted to do. Especially, and then going to fast forwarding to high school, one of the programs they had up there was the Junior Reserve Officer Training Course, Core, which JROTC, and I kind of just was in there for a while, and they kind of expressed interest about me going into the Army. So I think a big part of that was joining the Army as a medical service technician. So basically, what I wanted to be growing up was go into the Army.
Oh, awesome! Awesome. You didn't do ROTC in high school, did you?
No, I did the ropes course though. Remember the ropes course?
Yeah, I remember the ropes course.
Yeah, I only did that.
Let me guess, you didn't get to the top.
No, I actually did the ropes zip line thing. That was the most scariest thing I ever had, man. I'm so glad I had my gym shorts with me.
I did ROTC in high school.
Really?
Yeah, for 1 year. I did it so that I could get out of showering.
As the potato peeler?
During
You were the potato peeler?
There was no potatoes in ROTC, Carl.
Get down, give me 20.
Yeah.
Do that thing?
Yeah, I think it prepared me for frat life when I got to college.
I was a bench warmer, basically. So
you're a bench warmer and everything in life.
That's my motto. That's bench warmers in life.
But Dion, I think that at least your experience has been pretty extensive. What would you say that what are some of the ways that have been helpful, I guess, for you to get through college? Because we kind of talked a lot about what some of the barriers are, but what are some of the programs out there or other types of things that have been helpful to you as a student or that have been helpful to others that are students like yourself?
I know that Christie's Cabaret helped me a lot in college. So
a lot of de-stressing.
Yeah. Let's see. I think working a lot with just like program specific fields out here in Durango helped me out a lot. I know the HEEF, HEEF helped me out quite a bit with funding. And let's see. And I think a big part is especially with my field, I have some experience working with environmental injustices. And one of the main things that sparked that off was this was back in 2014, was the SB 2109 bill.
Oh, yeah. I heard
or
about
SB 1070. So,
yeah.
And just kind of, a big part of my field correlates strongly with political works. And so helping small communities build their political and environmental strengths and kind of knowing where they stand was one of the things I worked on in my internship. So one of the things that are, I guess, a couple of programs that helped me out were just a lot of community science specific programs out here offered in Durango, and escaped my mind, so I forgot the other program.
That's perfectly all right. So enough of the educational questions. Let's get down. Let's get down to the real questions first.
Okay. I think I know what you're going to ask.
Okay,
Dion, on a scale of 1 to 10, please rate Durango in terms of the quality of parties. I went to school in Tempe, so we're at a 15.
That was basically my question too. So the real question is, how many parties have you gone to? Don't be shy.
I don't know. I think my mom listens to this podcast, so I gotta say maybe none. I've never. No, I'm kidding.
Well, you know, Dion, Soul listens to the podcast, and so Carl
does.
Carl puts his hands in his pockets and acts like he's this angel on the podcast, but in reality, we all know that Soul. So if you're listening to this,
I have to keep my innocence on here.
I bet every time he comes home, she just looks at him going like, "Huck Christy."
I found her card in your pants. Bum Hucky.
Bum Hucky. No, I guess Durango is like a good, I don't know, I would say like a 6. There, I mean, it's a small town, and it's like very close to people that just want their peace and quiet. I've attended at University of Arizona for journalism for a summer, and that one was fine. That one was better than Durango. I spent another summer at the University of California, Irvine.
Oh, really? No.
And I think that one was for Earth System Sciences, and that one I think was probably the California is probably the place to go.
That was the one that was up there, huh?
So the parties in college life, they're not like Porky's. They're not like the Porky's parties. Have you ever watched those movies, Porky's?
Yeah. No. No, it's mostly like you hearing people screaming, people trying to find the recycling bin in Durango, Colorado.
So a bunch of rock lickers up there.
A bunch of rock lickers. Like, where's your recycling bin? And it's still going loud.
That's the party up there.
Some asshole threw his aluminum with the glass.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best part of the party part is going up along the river, tubing along the river, rafting.
Oh, down in
Fort
Lewis.
Just going out backpacking. Yeah. So
nice.
So the adventure part of it's definitely, I think, a whole party in itself.
Mm.
So how was the party scene down at the University of Refrigeration?
Actually, it was weird because there was this one Hawaiian girl. That's a story for later, so I'll leave that to that. It's not part of the Christie's Cabaret. It's a different one. So
well, I went from SIPI to ASU. So you can imagine what that was like. It was like a nonstop Alcoholics Anonymous type of experience. Oh, and so, blacking out and then waking up on Mill Ave and no, I'm just kidding.
You're not one of those people that go to those AA meetings and say, I'm addicted to porn. And they're like, Justin, this is an AA meeting right now.
Started in Christie's Cabaret and woke up starting a fire down in Tucson and at U of A campus.
I'm pretty sure that's it. So.
But Dion, I think that, educating us a little bit more about what it is that you want to go to school for, because a lot of that is much needed out here. And I think that you probably know that, especially with our issues and situations with our water, the cleanliness or the lack of cleanliness of our water as it relates to the environment, or even things that relate to uranium mines that are located close to the reservation. And so I guess really, how do you plan to bring that knowledge back here to the reservation if that is what you're thinking about doing?
Yeah. So a big thing that I guess I didn't really plan for was economic development. And building that and the issues that come with it out home is a big thing too. I guess just that's the next thing I want to, I guess, address. But the main part is just working with all the environmental programs and just kind of start working on policies that can make us more independent as a tribe. And build up political strength so that when we end up having to defend ourselves against the state of Arizona when it comes to water again, we're going to be that much more on the ball. Or when it comes to land or air quality, the thing that I kind of was that Taha always told me was that no matter that one day someone's going to always come by, or some people are going to come by and they're going to ask for everything that we have, and that's going to be up to us to I guess just defend it from everyone. A big part of my drive in college was always remembering that, and if I can at least have some say in how Hopi as a tribe pushes itself, I would like to at least have some word into it.
Great answer, Dion. And so, Carl, I apologize for taking us off the path of your poor attempt of your Yoff impression. But, I think that, what Dion said is really important because, people here, when we're living here on the reservation, that's all we see. All we see is the reservation.
Yeah, we see reservation.
All
life.
we hear is our own conversations day in and day out. But then it's not until you actually get off the reservation and you really see what threats, I guess, are out there to us as a tribe, to us as our lands, to us as our right to live. Because then, when you think about all of these other entities that exist off the reservation, Dion mentioned, like state entities, other city entities, that we're all fighting for these different elements of life. Water, we're fighting for water, we're fighting for air quality. We're fighting for all of these different things. Basically, we're fighting for our right to exist as a people here on the reservation. But unfortunately, I don't know if it's whether we were forced to or we chose to play by the white man's rules and their game, that we have to adapt ourselves and protect ourselves, as Dion was saying, to make sure that we have these different policies when it comes to things like land rights, when we have to contend with these different things when it comes to things like water rights and air rights, because constantly tribes are having to fight for those things.
Yeah.
Because somebody else wants it. The city of Phoenix wants our water. The city of Las Vegas wants our water. The city of Los Angeles in California wants our water. But yet, as a reservation, we need that too to live. That when you talk about air quality, that a lot of these different entities out there want to create things that would produce, toxins that would go into the air that would create pollution. But if that pollution is going to carry into our reservation, then it makes it dangerous for us just to be outside. And you see some of that when it comes to these huge fires that go on down in the West Coast in California, even all the way in Oregon, that a lot of that smoke has traveled down this way to be it difficult for us just to breathe, just to walk outside.
I congratulate Dion on choosing such I wouldn't say obscure topic, but it's something that you don't really see on the reservation. Like there's no real money value with that subject there, because of the way that how we were brought up is that we go to college to go get a higher paycheck, basically. And that's how I was taught. It's like, if you want a higher paycheck, go to college, learn something new, be in that different field there. And so that's, and being a geologist is something that I don't see as a person that's going to gain something from it. So
is there a lot of money in geology, Dion, or how much do you think about
how much rocks are you trading?
Financial well-being when you think about your future?
Or you guys are just trading rocks over there? So
no, it's all about. I think it. So the main thing, my goal is setting up an environmental programs division. And I've especially working that summer program internship with the Southern Ute tribe. I did have a lot of experience working with the water quality division, air quality, Brown's Fields, which mainly dealt with like old buildings that grew asbestos or lead paint devaluation, and kind of remedying those situations. And it's not going to land me in like the Fortune 500 companies. It's really not going to make me like be the one Hopi guy towing around a boat in the middle of the res. But I think the thing is that it's what I find comforting for myself is that we'll still be able to continue our ceremonies, that we'll still be able to keep our language alive, because geology helps out in a way that we need to know how our land is. We need to know what it looks like, what it's going to look like. We need to know where the water is going to go in like the next 40 to 50 years, and where it's projected to where water drainages and water catchment systems are projected to move, because things like groundwater and water runoff are going to be one of the main things that are going to be really that's projected to be really important in the future. There was a couple of articles and some news things that I've watched and read that once oil dries up, or all the world's oil starts drying up, the next thing that we're going to be fighting for is water. And to be able to help the tribe build its political strength and water rights, and being able to physically control where groundwater moves, or be able to at least harness water to for us to live as a people, is my current idea of what is going to make us more successful in the future.
That is really interesting.
That is really insightful, Dion, and thank you. Thank God that you're pursuing what it is that you're pursuing, so that my kids might have clean water someday living out here on the reservation.
Yeah, my ideal future is like the water world, basically. That's what that's what my ideal future is.
You might be a little bit too young for that, Dion. A Kevin Costner classic.
Yeah, no, I've seen that.
But
that's my ideal future. So
Carl, you actually brought up a good point, and so I think you're on fire today. But because then, like, when you do think about how we're communicated to about college, that nobody ever really tells you pursue a career that's going to make you a lot of money.
Yeah.
That it's just this idea that if you get a bachelor's degree, then that's good. That's great. But then if you have a bachelor's degree in, I don't know, English, or no offense to any of the English majors out there, or, a degree in dance, or, something kind of niche like that, you're really not going to be in that millionaire range. And so, a lot of us, we don't really take that into consideration of choosing a career that's really going to pad the pockets, because God, if I made that decision based upon how much money that my degree was going to get me, I wouldn't have gone into American Indian Studies like I did, but I pursued American Indian Studies kind of similar to Dion's experience
to help
people. And I think that a lot of our people are kind of in that same mindset, that they're choosing their degrees on how they can help the people. Because then, I have quite a bit of friends that are actually in the, what do they call it? Where they become like counselors, or where they work with people that need help, behavioral health,
public health. Yeah. Public health.
Well, not public health. What is it called?
Therapists.
I got some
psychiatrists.
I got some time to think about this, because then you'll edit this, Carl, and make it nice and nice and tight.
The reason why I chose my degree was to exploit the culture, pretty much, and to make as much money as I can before I die. That was basically my idea of going to college. I didn't care anything more about what Hopi's going to do and where it's going to land, because I already knew that it's going to turn into water world anyway. So.
The next Carl Fuchs.
Carl's attempt of what do they call it? Decolonizing cultural appropriation. If the white men are going to make all this money off of our culture, God damn it, I'm going
to make some money off of my own culture. I'm going to take
some of that money back and put it in my own pocket.
That's basically why I went to college, was to exploit everything here. So.
But then I guess, my point was that you do have folks out there that have these really tough jobs like education, for example. Like, you have a lot of people out here that go to college to go into the field of education. And for anybody that really understands the state of education, is that there isn't a lot of money to be made in education, unless you're going to work like in the private sector. If you're going to work for private schools, and then you might get a little bit higher paycheck, which I thought was kind of funny, because then, at least the way that I think is that you would think that education would be one of the most important fields, and that teachers should be making $60,000 to $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not the reality. And especially living in the state of Arizona, where we have one of the worst educational systems in the United States, but yet, year after year after year, you have our people going to these different universities to pursue a career in education for that idea because they want to help our people. They want to help our younger generation and build a more comprehensive, more cohesive form of education that that is much more suited for our people and our mentalities and our realities. Social work is the one that I couldn't name, but I have a lot of friends that are in the social work field, and I could not imagine dealing with people and their problems on a daily basis. And I don't say that to be a condescending asshole, but I mean, that just sounds real hard to me.
You're like my teacher. You're like my teacher on the podcast. Yeah. You're a very boring teacher,
and I give you a D every time.
A very boring history teacher, but we have to take your class because it's required, and we want the other one. So
I think from a listener's point of view that you guys are teachers to everyone that listens. I think one of the main things that I've known myself to be was very shy and not very outgoing and kind of hard to put myself out there. And kind of listening to your guys' stories about what you guys went through, what you guys, how you guys view things, it really helped. It really helped myself and then a few of my friends that listen as well. And I guess, finding their voice and helping perceive what's going on outside the res too. So quiet to you guys.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Dion.
Yeah, thank you, Dion. Thank you for giving me the shout out, giving me a personal shout out.
I think that's a good point, and I can't possibly imagine what you could educate people on out there, Carl.
I'm a huge educator. I'm here to teach you how to exploit the culture for your money, your technical gain. So I'm just kidding. But anyway, is there any last words before we part on our ways here, Dion? Is there anything that you want to give advice to on the college side there?
Yeah. Anyone that's interested in school, always don't feel afraid to reach out. Don't feel like you're not smart enough. Don't feel intimidated to apply. And the biggest part is finding out whether or not you're ready. If I were to go back and to graduation day of high school, I probably would have chosen to work for a bit before and then help figure out what I wanted to do. So a big part of getting ready for college is knowing whether or not you're ready. There's going to be people from high school to all the way to you graduate that are going to tell you, hurry up and get in college, hurry up and start. But it's really up to you whether or not you want to start. I've met and have friends that are in their like 30s, late 30s. I even have a friend that's 46 and they just now started college, or they found a degree field that they really want to study for. They just feel so much more happy that they actually gave themselves the time to do that. So take your time trying to figure out what you want to do. Definitely push yourself academically. I know it's going to be hard. And another shout out to those teachers out there, because they don't get paid enough to deal with some of the rowdy kids out there. Definitely take the time to really find out what you want to do. College is great. Vocational school is just as awesome too. If you want to try to find a program or certification that you really want to do, and it's in your best interest, definitely go for it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Dion, for joining us. And a quick question before we go, Carl. Do you have any idea how old you want to be when you retire?
Well, with social...
I'm 36 now, 37.
Well, with Social Security probably going down the drain, is probably about 104 when I retire and have a good life. So, goals.
Well, I say that because then, a point that Dion made is that, it's never too late. And, I think that most people work well at least up to their 60s. And so, if you barely find something in your 40s, and that's still about close to 20 years of working on something.
Of working with something that you love.
That you love to do. And then, whatever pay that comes with it, I don't want to be the only for money guy, but God damn it, I want to get paid.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why I went to college, to go get paid.
Speaking of getting paid, Carl, when am I going to get paid for this whole project here?
I do. I pay you a compliment. Shouldn't that be enough? All right. Well, thank you again for listening to this episode of College Life. I don't know what's the title of this episode.
I was calling it College Kids, but we talked a whole lot about a lot of different things.
Yeah. But
Hopi College Guys.
College Guys. We should name the episode. So,
and if anybody gets upset out there,
the College Guide,
the College Guys.
Ooh, Hopi College Guide.
And if anybody gets upset out there about gender inclusivity, talk to my kid who decided not to join us today. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, if you guys are listening to this on the Anchor website, go to anchor.fm/CJ Podcast 85. And if you want to become our monthly donor, go to anchor.fm/CJ Podcast. It's only 99 cents or $9.99 a month. And you get a special shout out. You get all of these special things. And we are still working on trying to get something out for all of our special contributors. And if you guys want to just donate $1 or more, go to buymeacoffee.com/CJ Podcast to donate $1 or more.
And shout out to Dion also too for being a member of our 30-pack sponsor of Givers. And so, spending his college scholarship money on funding us instead of in the proper areas that he should. But, big shout out to you for doing that. And if you're not following us on social media out there, you can find us at Carl and J-Man all across the boards on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we're actually, I think, less than 15 followers away from reaching up a new tier on Instagram. So this is my plea to you all. Go on to your Instagram apps right now and follow us on Instagram. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, you can hit the subscribe, smash the like button. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. If you, the lone person out there that gave us the 1-star review, change it and make it 5 stars.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening to Carl and J-Man Save the World podcast. My name is Carl, and this is my best friend, J-Man.
So long, quack, quack.